Hi, in this video I will draw these characters. I wanted to practice drawing clothes. Drawing modern day clothes is something I should work on more recently, since I usually draw fantasy. I think it's useful since the comic I am doing for fun is on modern times. So a lot of the clothes that I draw have to be modern clothes, of course. I am using reference for these drawings, but I am not trying to copy the reference. I am coming up with my own characters and using the reference to practice the clothes that I add on the characters. Like the way the folds show on the body, for example. I am drawing them with pencil, and since these are just sketches, I am going to use markers and ink to add some color and texture, as you probably saw on the thumbnail and the first seconds of this video. Since I'm using pencils, sometimes it's tricky with the light. As you can see, it's hard to see the first guy's face because of the light position. I don't know, I haven't found the correct placement for the lamp on the table in relation to the camera. Anyway, it seems to be a problem with the pencils only, so I'm not too worried to change the lighting at the moment. This paper is for sketching and dry media. It's not for painting. Since I couldn't use it for my regular illustrations, I decided to use it for sketches. Another reason I wanted to do this was to use up this paper, since I've had it for a long time. In general, I like how the sketch came out, except for this last guy that I see I had some issues on the face. It's just a bit loop-sided. It's a problem I'm struggling with recently, but I know if I'm aware of it during the sketching stage, I can fix it. But I don't think I fixed it for this one. The face is just bad. However, since the point of these are the clothes, I still think it was good. I think the clothes came out well. When drawing the clothes, I always try to be aware of what parts of the body pull the fabrics so that I can add the folds in that area. When it was time to do the ink, I started by inking the lines first, but then I realized my mistake. I have one really good quality ink that can be added, and then you can add other ink on top or markers on top of it and it won't smudge. But I use the other type of ink, which is meant to be for writing, not as a painting supply, so this one does smudge in the end. You see when I start to add the colored inks or the markers, some of the color will mix in with the black pigment. It's a mess, but that's fine. That's what sketches are for. And it's always good to experiment and see how the different materials react with each other. In the inking step, I also did some of the shading with the black lines. I really enjoy it, especially adding the shading on the hair. It's just fun to give it texture by using hatching. I started the coloring stage with inks as well. I have a few colored inks which I really like and which I should use more of, but I don't really know in what. Like, what should I paint with this? I should do more sketches and drawings with it. In this case, I don't think it was a good idea to use the inks or the markers. I don't know why I didn't think about the dark color of the paper being a problem. The inks and the markers are better used in a lighter paper. It's just hard to see on this one. My head was in the clouds and I didn't think of this. Anyway, I decided to finish them with it. I do like to work with toned paper. I love the brown color and I think it would have been great for something like gouache or any other opaque medium if it had been a thicker paper. So as you could see, I ended up using Posca pens too. In this one, I added the details of the shirt in white. It works well in this paper, but those pens are not really my favorite, but it's good that I can use them in this. I am also trying to get rid of those. I've been trying to get rid of them for a long time. And something else I completely overlooked was the skin tones of the characters. Because for these two first guys, I wanted to do light skin, and I have no way to lighten the color of the paper. I couldn't use any of my tempera or gouache since it would break the paper, and I knew if I tried to use Posca pens for the skin, it would have been a mess. So I just used the marker colors as shadows and left the paper as the main color. kept using the same materials for the rest of the sketches, even though they are not ideal. Since I started with those materials, I just wanted to keep the consistency for this page of sketches. This is the same ink I used for the first one then. It tends to blend in when I add the colored ink on top. It will be more noticeable on this one than with the blue ink. I also used hatching for the shadows. I did the same with the markers and the skin tone. I only used it for the shaded area at first. For the sweater, I used markers first and then some colored ink. I wanted to use a darker shade of brown in the shadows of the clothes. I think I used sepia or walnut colored ink. And I used a bit of colored ink for the skin tone too. I added some diluted red color. It's hard to see though. It didn't work out well with this dark paper. And I got to the last sketch, starting with the ink of the lines. It's always fun to do the hatching, especially to show the texture. This character is wearing a wool vest, so the material will be fun to ink. I do it with short lines, a bit curved, always trying to show the shadows of the folds. Other than that, I really don't have much to say for the inking. I decided to do studies not only because it's always good to practice, but because I haven't been feeling like painting anything traditionally recently. I had the idea in my head already for my next Harry Potter book illustration, and maybe another cowboy illustration. I just haven't had the motivation to start them. But I am doing some illustrations digitally, so I guess it's not too bad after all. The good thing about this character is that he's meant to be darker skinned, so the markers worked well for this one. Out of the three, this is the only one whose skin tone I think came out the best. I used two types of brown markers, one for the main color and one for the shade. I used colored inks for the clothes, even though it leaves a bit of the black lines like the other two sketches. Since the wool vest is meant to be lighter in value than the paper, I had to use the Posca pens. I used this kind of light pink, which I'm guessing it's supposed to be their version of light skin tone, but I think it works well for my light colored vest. When I apply the pen, I try to do the same type of strokes that I did with the ink. The small curved strokes, so that way it continues the texture of the fabric. I also only added it to parts where the light would hit, and I left the parts with the shadows as the color of the paper. Here's the final sketch page. I turned off the lamp to get rid of the glare from the first sketch. Even with ink on top, the pencil lines still shine through.